Okay, friends, I'm going to start with the Great Kapok Tree. This will be our first reading of our South American stories, and I hope that you will get some really good information from it. I love this story. It's available in lots of different versions. There are plays online as well as some other books available, but this particular version by Lynne has some beautiful artwork. So the illustrations are just gorgeous. So I hope that you can see them. It looks to me like we still have a glare even on the book cover. So that's from my window. I hope that you can see it really well, and I will do my best to share the pictures with you. Two men walked into a rainforest. Moments before, the forest had been alive with the sounds of squawking birds and howling monkeys. Now all was quiet as the creatures watched the two men and wondered why they had come. The larger man stopped and pointed to a great kapok tree. Then he left. And this book integrates the words right into the illustrations. The smaller man took the axe he carried and struck the trunk of the tree. Whack! 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 The sounds of the blows rang through the forest. The wood of the tree was very hard. Chop! 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 The man wiped off the sweat that ran down his face and neck. Whack! Chop! Whack! Chop! Soon the man grew tired. He sat down to rest at the foot of the great kapok tree. Before he knew it, the heat and hum of the forest had lulled him to sleep. And there he is, working on that tree. A boa constrictor lived in the kapok tree. He slithered down its... I had to pause for a moment because I thought I skipped a page, but I did not. So we will continue the story. A boa constrictor lived in the kapok tree. He slithered down its trunk to where the man was sleeping. He looked at the gash the axe had made in the tree. Then a huge snake slid very close to the man and hissed in his ear. Senor, this tree is a tree of miracles. It is my home, where generations of my ancestors have lived. Do not chop it down. And there is the boa constrictor speaking to the man. A bee buzzed in the sleeping man's ear. Senor, my hive is in this kapok tree, and I fly from tree to tree and flower to flower collecting pollen. In this way, I pollinate the trees and flowers throughout the rainforest. You see, all living things depend on one another. I don't know, I'm going to bring it really close and see if you can see that bee right next to my finger speaking to the man. And then if I swing back out, you can see all the beautiful butterflies and other insects all around the man. A troop of monkeys scampered down from the canopy of the kapok tree. They chattered to the sleeping man. Senor, we have seen the ways of man. You chop down one tree, then come back for another and another. The roots of these great trees will wither and die, and there will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. When the heavy rains come, the soil will be washed away, and the forest will become a desert. And there, the monkeys are all around the tree and all around the man as he's sleeping. A toucan, a macaw, and a cock of the rock flew down from the canopy. Senor, squawked the toucan, you must not cut down this tree. We have flown over the rainforest and seen what happens once you begin to chop down the trees. Many people settle on the land. They set fires to clear the underbrush, and soon the forest disappears. Where once there was life and beauty, only black and smoldering ruins remain. There are the birds, and I am not familiar with the birds, the cock of the rock. However, this is a drawing of one. I knew about toucans and macaws, but this one I had never heard of. And how beautiful. All of these creatures in the rainforest, beautiful and special. A bright and small tree frog crawled along the edge of a leaf. In a squeaky voice, he piped in the man's ear. Senor, a ruined rainforest means ruined lives, many ruined lives. You will leave many of us homeless if you chop down this great kapok tree. And he's sitting right there on the man's shoulder. And there is another guy up there in the tree. And there is another one down below in the tree. A jaguar had been sleeping along a branch in the middle of the tree. Because his spotted coat blended into the dappled light and shadows of the understory, no one had noticed him. Now he leapt down and padded silently over to the sleeping man. He growled in his ear, Senor, the kapok tree is home to many birds and animals. If you cut it down, where will I find my dinner? Would be a little scary to wake up to, don't you think? Four tree porcupines swung down from branch to branch and whispered to the man, Senor, do you know what animals and humans need in order to live? Oxygen. And Senor, do you know what trees produce? Oxygen. If you cut down the forests, you will destroy that which gives us all life. And here are the little tree porcupines, so cute. And they make such a good point, don't they? Oxygen is needed by all living creatures, right? Several anteaters climbed down the kapok tree with their young clinging to their backs. The unstriped anteater said to the sleeping man, Senor, you are chopping down this tree with no thought for the future. And surely you know that what happens tomorrow depends on what happens today. The big man tells you to chop down a beautiful tree. He does not think of his own children, who tomorrow must live in a world without trees. And there are the anteaters all around the sleeping man. A three-toed sloth had been making her way down the canopy when the men first appeared. Only now did she reach the ground. Plodding ever so slowly over to the sleeping man, she spoke in her deep and lazy voice. Senor, how much beauty is it worth? Can you live without beauty? If you destroy the beauty of the rainforest, on what would you feast your eyes? She also makes a very good point. There she is with her babe. A child from the Yanomamo tribe who lived in the rainforest knelt over the sleeping man. He murmured in his ear, Senor, when you awake, please look upon us all with new eyes. There's the boy, and there's some animals right there, right with him. The man awoke with a start. Before him stood the rainforest child, and all around him staring were the creatures who depended upon the great kapok tree. What wondrous and rare animals they were. And here they all are. Can you imagine waking up to have all of those beautiful animals around you? My goodness. The man looked about and saw the sun streaming through the canopy. Spots of bright light glowed like jewels amidst the dark green forest. Strange and beautiful plants seemed to dangle in the air, suspended from the great kapok tree. The man smelled the fragrant perfume of their flowers. He felt the steamy mist rising from the forest floor. But he heard no sound, for the creatures were strangely silent. And there he is looking around. Just beautiful. The man stood and picked up his axe. He swung back his arm as though to strike the tree. Suddenly he stopped. He turned and looked at the animals and the child. He hesitated. Then he dropped his axe and walked out of the rainforest. So there he is walking away. So that day, no great kapok trees were harmed, right? It's a beautiful story. Again, there are lots of different versions of this story. I did a play with students several years ago in the summertime that was the great kapok tree. And we created our own kapok tree out of a ladder. And we added all different paper flowers, and we acted as the animals, and it was a really beautiful thing. So there are lots of versions. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks. See you next time.